went to the town, y'all used it for different things from time to time. And then, I guess after the Highlands Festival folks moved out in 2012, it had been rented to like an artist or something. But it's cool, it's cool, it's a blow-off skin.
Yeah, I know, right? I wasn't surprised to see that. But I didn't know you were.
Hey, how you doing? No, no postcards. Maybe sling some business
I
cards.
swear that's what you wanted. We were just like, wow.
But I'll take care of it from here on out.
Tell me. The hours on the phone always.
Never easy.
You can never tell me.
I don't know, because.
The last
An
item
auction.
Yes.
is done. I mean, no, I say done. He's not gonna be here tonight, so we're gonna table it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was wondering how that was gonna go.
Oh, Lord. I mean, it's,
that was going to go.
I had all kinds of questions.
what we have here
I'm going
I had all
is
sorts of
a
questions.
failure to communicate.
How you doing, Mr. Weaver?
Well, how are you?
Doing well.
Good to see you. You've been doing well.
Can't complain. Might as well.
Hey.
Good, how are you?
Sir?
Good. Oh, man, got a full house
Yeah,
tonight.
buddy.
Yeah. When was the last time that happened?
Been a while.
Normally it's the council representative that's always gone, so,
Don't blame me now. I promise I'd rather be here.
that's it.
That's the truth.
We got a couple more minutes and then we'll get started.
A couple of projects that we approved is on hold. Do you have any?
That's the only one that wasn't showing, they don't put it here.
Are you the one who called and gave me a reminder?
No.
Hey, thank you so much for doing that. I need you more often. Tell me your name again.
There haven't been any activity there.
They're right on the agenda tonight.
And the other one is that really nice, you know, when we've been in the council chambers.
Mhm.
The guy came and had everything.
What's that?
I saw the foundation go up and I haven't seen any activity since then.
What's your last name?
So maybe it's framers or something.
That's kind of,
Frank.
The masons are done and the framers haven't shown up yet.
yeah, would be what I anticipate because that gentleman, I was very impressed with him.
They typically take it easy on the first time.
Laid out,
Yeah, I wish they were all that
spreadsheet.
way, huh?
Yes, sir.
Not too heavy today.
Yeah.
The foundations.
I talked to, Mark Goodman's wife, called me back and said they would be here.
Okay.
And then I left Robert Don and voicemail, and right back from them, so.
Tables,
And
tables.
then Beth said he didn't know if he could get somebody here,
Yeah.
and then
So I
Justin
mean,
put
other than Mark's
or Mark Adams.
application, everything
I talked to her.
is supposed to be on the way. So we'll just go down the agenda and try to address them as who's here.
You said Mr. White is paid.
Yes. Two minutes. Give the other applicants an opportunity. You're looking sharp today, bud.
Hey, thank you.
I like that.
Jeff, some minutes. Signed.
Minutes signed.
At your leisure.
Gotta look the part.
You know what you do when you don't. That's right, man.
Got ready to make the way over to Kmart.
Like that hard.
I just don't.
There's a Washington Post article today.
Really?
Is it?
About.
What was it?
County weighs moving courthouse to cable.
Image we want to convey.
Yes, indeed.
My glasses got so dark coming in, I couldn't see.
We want to take the centerpiece of the town, of the historic town, and then have a blue light special. So,
nearly lost my job this week, so.
So, and on that note, I'd like to call the August 7th, 2019 meeting of the Historic Preservation Review Board to order. Mr. Boswell, if you would, please, sir, roll call.
Mr. Weaver?
Here.
Mr. Geisler?
Here.
Mr. Neese? Here. Mr. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, and actually we have two sets. Your first set was from the regular July 3rd meeting, and the second set is from the special called meeting of July the 8th. Does anyone have any comments relative to the July 3rd minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those as submitted.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. We'll handle all of these at one time. I had a couple corrections on July 8th. Under number 1, Mr. Boswell, where you got certificate of appropriateness for Sinking Spring. The fourth line down, I think that's supposed to be scrape instead of scape.
Yes.
Then on page 2, number 4 should be the 4 finials instead of final. And those were the only corrections that I saw.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Anyone else have any? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Got a motion, need a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Would like to approve both those, the 3rd and the 8th together. Roll call, please.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
Mr. Neese?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Thank you. Would like to welcome everyone this afternoon to the meeting. The way, it's an informal process, but the way we handle things is whenever your certificate is called, if you would, please step to the podium, tell us a little bit about what you're doing or requesting, and then the committee, if we have any questions, we'll ask the questions. If none, then we'll make a motion to approve from that point forward. First item on the agenda is Mr. Wampler, COA for signage.
So you got an application for a 4 square foot sign in front of the new law office on Court Street. When I originally had designed the sign, I thought it was 12 square feet. I was mistaken. I have reworked it to be 1 foot by 4 foot long to say the name of both the partners in my law firm, myself and another guy out of Lynchburg who's going to work some in Southwest Virginia, but some out of Central Virginia. That's my mock-up. I haven't hired a contractor yet. We've been pricing out some options, but what you're looking at is what you will see. I'll say I'm excited to have a law office back there across from the courthouse parking lot. And historically, that building had been a law firm from 1870 to 1970, so it's cool to have another law office there. I've got some of the description of the materials as I anticipate them to be there below the picture. It'll be wood. I'll try to make it look as nice as possible. Black and gray, the colors that I envisioned, but happy to hear your all's thoughts. I also didn't include it with the original application, but I have since gotten a approval from the owner of the building, Linda Summers-Gill, that she approves that design as is. So with that, any questions or any other info y'all need, I'm happy to provide it.
Anyone have any questions? That's fairly straightforward. The sign is wood. You'll have to forgive me between my glasses and the light being out. I'm having to get longer arms. The sign itself is wood. The lettering is also gonna be, wood,
Correct.
1x4, set on, 1 to 2 feet above the retaining wall and with posts. Anyone have any questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
Make that motion.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Boswell, roll call, please.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
Mr. Neese?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Thank
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, members of the board. Appreciate you.
Next item is Mr. Goodman.
Hello, thank you for having me today. What I want to do, and it's coming up here we go. This little addition is on the back of our store, and we did this with your approval back in 2015, I believe it was, to enclose that little section of the deck. And my wife and several people told me I should have enclosed the entire deck, and got that, but I didn't. And now they're right, we need to enclose the entire deck. We need the extra space and make it a room that basically looks just like that, only larger. I believe you'll see some architectural, that's a side view of the room that you see from my driveway. There's the back of the house, so that's that little white section is the little room that we enclose, and you see that upper deck. We want to enclose that entire upper deck, change the direction of those stairs to go, I guess, parallel with the house, the way it needs to bring down to the lower deck. And we also want to run a new metal roof all the way across. You'll see that to the left, that little addition there, that was done many years ago, and that's a bathroom. And in order to make all this look right, I'd like to run a metal roof across the new section and the old section, just one nice roof that continuously runs across, instead of trying to put just a new roof on that section and try to get it to seal up. And then I think you'll see the drawings, there's part of the drawings. Basically, Jim Bundy had drawn this up for me. It's going to be exactly the same as the little room, white painted boards, the exact same double hung windows, only we're adding a few more of them because I want it to be kind of sunny, because I also want to take customers will be able to go in this room, look at diamonds as well, and we also might use it as a dining room once we move there. So you're basically going to have stairs turning a different direction. I did this because the room is going to be 2 feet longer than the existing deck. I wanted to make it just as maximum as I could and still have the height in it. If I do that and leave the steps going the way they were, it pushes those steps out into the middle of my lower existing deck. So we changed the angle of that, made sure we had enough room to get those to code with how steep they're supposed to be versus how many steps are supposed to be, so many feet. So that all seemed to work very, very well there. And then the other thing I wanted to do, if you'll go back to one of those pictures, Mr. Boss, right there, the lower deck, where you see those little stools and chairs, I want to replace all of those boards on it. They're getting dry and kind of rotted. I don't think they're rotted yet, but the upper deck's had some rot on it. Those are getting really dry and need to be replaced. On that, I didn't know, and I couldn't find anything. Do I have to use, where this is not visible from the road, steel wood, or can it be, if it looks like wood, the new Trex or something like that material that can be screwed in as synthetic? That I wasn't sure about, and I wanted to ask you about that tonight on the lower deck, as far as what kind of materials you have to use on it.
Okay.
And I also had a question on standing, that should be a standing seam roof, but does snap block count as a standing seam roof in the eyes of the board, or does it have to be it is considered a standing seam from what most people tell me, but it's a different method from the old style where you're supposed to crimp and all that stuff. So I didn't know what your thoughts were on that.
Actually, we've had conversations, that issue has gone back and forth. Standing seam roofs, you have a number of different variations that are classified as a standing seam. However, a true standing seam is a metal roof with a standing seam, no striations, anything of this nature. The technology didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the striations actually came about to provide rigidity to the roof, and resulting in less material, less weight. You know, that's
right.
The manufacturer's trying to say. You're talking about matching your existing roof using the same material.
Same black roof, white gutters. Nothing changes except the room's going to be bigger than what it is now, and there's going to be more windows. The door that we have will be moved to where you're going down the steps there to the lower deck. That will now be a door there, and then the existing door and that little back wall will be taken out, of course, and that'll be just one big room. And-
Mr. Chairman, I think it would be appropriate to allow him to continue with the same roofing material.
Yes, sir. new commercial additions are actually covered under 27A, and what they advocate are additions at the rear of the buildings are acceptable, should be compatible with the original building in terms of size, scale, proportions, roof pitch, and rhythm of openings, which is exactly what you've laid out here. As far as the materials, you know, it's wood paneling, you're gonna extend the wood paneling all
Correct.
the way around.
Exact same wood, painted white, same windows, wooden double hung painted windows, just more of them.
And then remove the roof all the way back to the existing structure?
Yes,
And then just have that, basically as new pieces?
yes,
And again, this is, I don't say hidden, but it's not highly visible
Correct.
from any public street, so.
So, I guess my only question would be is, if the new wood comes out flush with the brick of the bathroom,
comes out a little past it.
well, if the roof slope changes the same, won't you be into that window in the upper right?
Well, the window, no, we are taking it from there, and we're actually, if you'll go back to the architectural drawings, we
So you're
have a
lowering-
one, yeah, the pitch changes slightly to can you see what it says on there, 112, I think it is?
Okay, I got you.
It does have to change a little bit, because interior, by the time we bring it out, as far as we want to bring it out, we need that pitch to not go into that window, like you said, and it also keeps us enough room where I don't bump my head.
Okay.
My wife would be fine with it being shorter, but I can't, I wanted as close to 8 feet in there as I could get, so we changed that in order to give us the maximum room we could get and still be able to use it and have a roof that was usable and have an indoor space that was usable.
The guttering,
Same white, half round
Half-round.
stuff. I think we have to add a little bit of it, but it has to be the same exact stuff. And basically, the way we run all of our guttering, it has to pretty well go back to the downspouts we have now. So we'll have to run it around to the existing downspouts. We can't change that any that I know of.
okay. About the only change from what you have right now is the configuration on the steps.
Yes.
And I don't see a concern with those.
If we don't do it that way, the steps, by the time we hit the 2
End up
feet,
in
it
your
goes,
little patio.
yeah, we won't be able to go up that little wall to go see it, that little
Correct.
stepway.
So, as submitted, extend the siding out around and close. The windows are double hung wooden windows. The roofing is the standing seam with striations that is currently on the structure. You're just gonna match that up. The steps will be as submitted. As far as the configuration, and the guttering will be half round to match existing.
In white, yes. And we'll have still the same, snow guards, I think you call them, that I've got now, putting those back on, and the gutter guards that I got approved years ago, that just have that little screen over the gutters, they'll have that on there as well, just like the existing ones do. We won't change any of that.
So the only other issue would be the decking
The
material.
lower deck, what material can I use on it, where I believe it's pretty much totally hidden as far as visibility unless you get in my driveway, or I'm at your backyard.
Second five. Yeah, that was one I didn't look.
Well, let me ask a question. Since it's not visible from anywhere, does it fall under our jurisdiction?
Well, under 5A, wood construction is preferable for decks, which should be located at the rear of buildings or in other areas not substantially in the public view.
I kinda like what the Martha has used around their pool area, but lighter color, where it looks like wood, but it doesn't have the maintenance, and I don't have to seal it as I get older, but it's whatever it has to be. That's one thing I wasn't sure about. I want to get all my ducks in a row before we start ripping stuff up, knowing what I need to do, what I can do.
I mean, that technically you are correct. Items that are not in public view are not within the purview of the board. So it's just whether or not the board views that. There are no public roads. The only public access technically is Trooper's Alley, which is not usable. So, suggestions?
My suggestion would be that we allow him to use the track material for a product similar to that.
Is that masonry?
No, it's a,
No, it's
what is it exactly?
It's a
Synthetic
composite
something.
material. It's a composite material that's pressed.
It looks like wood if you get the right color, unless you walk on it or get real close to it.
Yeah, you have to, your centers need to be smaller than typical wood because there is a flex.
Hmm.
But as far as appearance, the appearance is very, very similar to wood.
I think I'd probably default back to, there's been some things where windows in the back that were completely removed from public view. We've agreed on vinyl in the past. So I think they fall under that same idea.
Okay.
That's a good composite.
Okay. All right, then, because it is primarily hidden from public view, I believe an alternative material is acceptable. Let me recount once again, the siding as presented, painted white, double hung windows, wooden. The door is a wood door as well.
The door is a fiberglass door painted white. It's what we currently have back there because it's completely invisible from the street. But you can go wood if you prefer, but it sees a lot of elements back there. It gets direct sun, all kinds of stuff, and the fiberglass seems to hold up a lot better.
And that door was previously approved.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay.
But now we have to change it because it opens the wrong direction. So it'll be the same door, but I gotta open it right hand now because if it opens like it does now left hand, I have to close it before I go down the steps. So I won't say that I'm using the exact same door, but the exact same type with the same window and everything in it, but I have to change the direction it opens.
Again, that's hidden.
Yes.
Steps as submitted, the configuration of the guttering is half round, the roofing will match what is there. And on the lower deck, composite material Trex, would be recommended. So, does that accurately recap?
Yes, sir.
As such, entertain a motion.
So,
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Boswell?
Mr. Weaver,
all right.
Mr. Geezer,
aye.
Mr. Neese,
Aye.
Mr. Webb,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Well, I appreciate your time.
Did you, tax credit?
Yes, I've submitted that because I've received tax credits from the state and the feds. I submitted it, the state's already approved it probably a month ago, and then they forwarded it to the National Park Service. So they told me 99.9% of the time the National Park Service always goes with the state's recommendation, but I don't want to start anything until I got with you and the National Park Service.
Okay, I was actually referencing the town.
Didn't get anything from the town tax credit wise when we did any of the work. And we're not asking for any here either,
Okay.
just wanting to do it.
Let me ask you a question, as far as the work that's being done on the front.
Yes, we had gotten a exemption to do painting and replace a few rotted boards, and we found that the wicket type stuff up there was about a third of it was rotted badly. So it's going back up exactly the same. It's just we're having new lumber cut and we're going to have it pre-painted, especially on the bottom. The theory was the bottom was never painted, and it had leaked around it and wicked up into that pressure-treated lumber, and it just rotted all of it. We had some of it was really rotted. I thought just one or two boards, but it was kind of shocked when we got up there and saw how spongy things were. So we're recreating it exactly like it was, but we're having, I can't remember the wood he told me he's gonna use. We're not using pressure-treated this time. We're using something different that'll paint better. We hope will seal better and will look exactly the same, but it'll be the white and everything, but hopefully we'll go a little longer before it tries to rot. I believe all of that was put up, we painted it originally, but I think all of it was put up by the original owner in 06 or 07, 05, something like that, when he got approval. I saw his notes and his architectural drawings where he originally got approval for that. So we can't change it. Had I known it was all rotted a few months ago, I would have requested that we change the whole front and got rid of that. Really would be my preference, but since we didn't, we're this far along, I say if I get 12, 15 more years or something out of it, let's just get it going, because there's too many things going on. But had I known this in January, I'd already had the plans to get it approved to take all that out, put a new roof on that deck and get rid of that, because that has always been a problem with, we have to seal it about since I've owned it 4 or 5 years, I had to seal it twice around those little poles, because it leaks down also into the poles below it and gives them some rot. But we're gonna try to do a little bit better. But it's gonna look the same, and they didn't want to do anything during the festival. They got the wood, I think, last week, and they're just gonna take it to a shop and pre-paint everything before they bring it on site and put it all together. That way he thought it would maybe hold up a little bit better, is our hope.
Okay,
It should look exactly the same.
all right, sir, thank you.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Just a matter of clarification, I
Yes,
looked
sir.
here at the zoning ordinance, in section 8-9-3 says the board shall not consider interior arrangement of the buildings or structures or features not subject to view from a public street, right of way, or place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that covers that.
All right, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Mr. Carneal, how are you doing today?
Doing good, how are you guys doing?
Doing fine. What I'd written down, basically back porch,
Yes.
6x6 post,
Correct.
railing.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah,
please, sir.
so that's a job I did, and those are welded. They're 2-inch square tubing welded, and then 1/2-inch pickets welded in there. So I was, just because wood and rot, I was would prefer to do the metal, and it's something I do. So I was thinking I'd do a similar railing system around that porch. Those are 4-inch centers, 4-inch face on the bottom, and that's capped with a piece of wood. I was thinking stain the wood, stain the deck on the Valley project, and then do the black painted metal. And then paint the wood posts white, like I think we had discussed in the last meeting.
Okay. Steps.
Steps.
Same
So
configuration?
we were gonna bring them off to the side, but to be honest, I think I'm just gonna not do steps, if that's fine. Just because they were coming into that parking lot, and I was gonna change that retaining wall area. Well, we decided it wasn't a retaining wall, but that little tier there. But the way it's set up, and that's a separate apartment there. We're just gonna leave it a private apartment, accessed only from the inside, just so traffic won't have, like a car could park there and it not be an issue.
Okay. So that's just a little patio for
Little patio for that
the
back
apartment
room.
right there.
Yep, you got it. I have a quick question on this. You'll see, let me show you. You'll see this little roof right here on this door. That goes into the basement.
Mm-hmm.
I had meant to draw this on there, but I would like to take that roof and match it with this roof, because it creates a water problem down in this deal. The water ends up falling down there, but if that roof was matched with this little one, it would do a better job at keeping the water out of that lower area.
You're saying match.
So it would match that little porch roof to the right.
You would actually extend the upper roof.
Correct.
Over to the building.
To the building
And
and
do away with the
do
little one.
away with the little one, correct.
I've been out there, there's a lot of water that comes off that.
Yes, at that corner.
So the gutter would carry it.
Carry it away from that
Yeah,
corner.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense how it was done. But small, you know, it's 3 feet wide probably.
And basically all the new roofing is gonna be concealed.
Yes. And I got the standing seam for the front porch, so that's yet to go on, but probably I would do the standing seam on that little porch as well.
What material is on the existing?
It's
roof?
asphalt,
Asphalt.
shingles, yes.
So you would just take that off and then put standing seam across all of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? Let me make sure I've got this correct. The porch has submitted 6x6 post. The porch will actually be stained, the post will be painted white as
Correct.
previously submitted. The railing, I thought wrought iron right at first, but it's a welded metal.
Yes.
And one of the things, let me take a look, I think it was 5C. Make sure only attached at the top and bottom rails and not to the floor or the face of the deck, which if you'll go back
That
to
would
the
be,
picture,
yeah,
that's exactly what you had
correct.
right there.
Which I'll just be building each, section and it'll, yeah, attach from the building to the post.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Are no steps.
No steps.
And the addition is the removal of the lower roof, extend the
Yeah,
upper
the
side
uppers.
roof across to catch that bottom entranceway, and then place a standing seam roof to match what was previously approved
Yes.
for the main structure.
Yep.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve as submitted and summarized by Jeff Johnson.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll say.
Motion and a second, Mr. Boswell.
Mr. Weaver,
Aye.
Mr. Geisler,
Aye.
Mr. Neese,
Aye.
Mr. Webb,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Thanks, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Boswell, Mr. White is, you said not gonna be here.
Yes, sir,
Um,
he contacted us earlier and he had to leave on business. We're gonna try to get somebody to present for him, but it doesn't seem like there's anybody present.
Okay. Mr. Adams, which I think
I think that's Mr.
Jerry signs. is- Tell us what you have, please.
All right, so 2 foot by 2 foot, high density urethane, CNC carved sign. It'll be burgundy and gray in color. It will have a wrought iron bracket. It's black and will hang, I believe, from the side of the building.
Will hang on the side of the building.
No, it'll be in the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to, I didn't have an opportunity to go by. Where's the property?
Johnson. Used to be the Johnson.
Johnson Law Office? Okay. Any questions? Entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, sir.
Mr. Weaver,
Aye.
Mr. Geisler,
Aye.
Mr. Neese, Mr. Webb, Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Have a great day.
All right.
The last item was Mr. Schrader with Mr. Bundy as the representative. Mr. Bundy had an emergency. We will table that item until the September meeting. Any other items for discussion? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Motion and a second, Mr. Boswell.
Mr. Weaver.
Aye.
Mr. Geisler.
Aye.
Mr. Neese.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.